All right, well, we are back in action. Welcome back to FAMP Jam. We're all here. We've got one of our co-hosts back. Brad DeMint is back with a fresh new cut. Last time we saw him, he had hair, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
It's like, what did you do? Did you like Clorox it or what happened?
I think it's just this industry, man. You just go
stress.
ball.
You're too young for that.
No,
How old are you, 19 now?
I'm 22, man. I'm 22.
My God, very close.
Do you remember 22?
I don't remember 22.
Fair.
No,
Fair
I don't remember. They have a pair of shoes that are 22 years old.
I think you wore them today.
I think I did. I think you're absolutely right. I did wear them today. Well, welcome back. Thank you so much. It's FAMP Jam, and we are here as a group to talk to you about what's happening on the street, kind of what's going on around us. And today's topic, which is kind of interesting, is going to be about grassroots efforts and marketing. And just keep in mind, most important thing I always want you to know is make sure you have your membership here at FAMP. We're here with the great gang from the Gulf Coast chapter. My name is Nathaniel, and here with the team today. So where do we want to start? And you were talking about kind of some grassroots effort. You're just walking up and calling on realtors today.
Yeah, so one of the things I did today was I actually just went to a few different offices. I just kind of went. I was actually over in the Tampa area, and I looked up different offices, and I walked in, introduced myself. I'm like, hey, I'm Brad DeMint, Greenleaf Title. I was also with a mortgage guy, too. And we were building some relationships that way because not everyone's in the office all the time, but there is some people that still go in the office. And I think, I see some top, the guy I was with, some of the top producing agents want to connect with them because
they do want to connect. But did you see when you went in, what was the demeanor and the disposition of, first of all, were there agents present?
There was. They were doing a training in one of the offices, and in almost every office we walked in, there was at least a few people. But I still think one of the best ways to market in this industry right now is through social media.
You still think that?
I still think, you want to get face-to-face and network, right? Like kind of like what we've been doing with the FAMP socials and stuff like that, right? Like, having these people in person is huge. You want to meet them in person. But you almost want to make sure you're always getting their social medias and then posting on social media so that people see. I think Ryan does a great job with that. So
well, you do a great job with that. Would you say, we're talking about grassroots, do we consider social media a version of grassroots?
Absolutely, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
Because you're essentially branding yourself.
Right.
And so you're saying, I'm Brad DeMint with Greenleaf Title. Everybody knows Brad, right? And his social media presence is strong that I feel like that is one thing that is lacking in this industry is really training on it.
Yeah. On social media, what do you think about that? You're pretty big on the tech side.
Dude, I'm putting myself on MySpace all the time. I'm just not getting a lot of traction.
MySpace?
I've got my top 8.
You're as old as my shoes.
I got the top 8, though. You're in my top 8.
That's good. Thank you. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
You got your favorite song on there and stuff, too?
I do, yes.
Is it a Swift song?
It is. Oh, I'm a big Swiftie.
Has to be.
All the way. Swiftie all the way.
So what do you think about that? When you think about, we talk about grassroots, is social media considered grassroots?
I guess I wouldn't say it's grassroots. Just when I think grassroots, I'm thinking like pounding the pavement.
Yeah.
You're out there on the streets. But I think that marketing yourself as a whole is really about keeping your channels open, right? You have social media. You're out there attending open houses. You're going to networking events, right? You're generating some leads other ways within your sphere of influence, right? So there's multiple ways. But when I think grassroots, I'm thinking like the trade shows, knocking on doors, doing what you did today. And that's what I used to tell all of my people when they came in. It's like, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take over 10 days, right? Over 2 weeks, you're going to make a plan of what offices you want to hit. And you're going to go hit those offices every 2 weeks. You're going to hit that office. And you're going to get to know the gatekeepers, right? The people sitting at the front door. Heather, my wife, she used to do a great little thing. She'd go after lunch and she would take candy bars and she would tape, not staple, but she would tape her business cards to the candy bars, right? Staples, idea. I guess that would be a problem.
Depends where you staple it. But I just thought about that. It's clever, I kind of wonder though. Like we look at this current environment, right?
Right.
And would you say that this environment is a depressed environment?
I would say people are realizing the market's going to come back a little bit, right?
Okay.
So I would say the last couple months, maybe some people were a little discouraged.
Yeah.
But I think some stuff's changing, and I think there's a little bit more of a positive mindset with some people, especially people that have been around for a while.
What do you think? What's bringing that out?
What's bringing out a depressed mindset?
Well, what's bringing out more of a positive mindset? Because I think the market's been a little bit depressed for a while, right? To a certain degree.
For sure.
But
I think that the buyers are really starting to realize that man, strike while the iron's hot, especially where we are in Tampa Bay, right?
Sure.
The market is still flourishing, essentially. And now the sellers are giving back to the buyers. It's huge, right? I think a lot of people went from, hey, we'll do temporary buy downs for 2-1 buy downs, right? Or 3-2-1 buy downs, to now it's, hey, seller, just give me 2%.
So are agents still the number one resource for being able to develop business in the mortgage business?
I think they are a big factor.
Okay.
If you had a percentage, what would you put on?
Probably 50 to 75%.
50
I mean,
to
you
75.
have companies who have business models where they're out generating their own leads, which are pretty expensive. But it's always about the realtor, right? For most people, they are trying to cultivate that relationship. And I think there's a lot of missed opportunities out there with realtors.
With realtors, yeah.
Right, because for the most part, people don't tackle the seller's agent. So like I put a guide together for my people. I'm like, here's what you're going to do. You're going to call and introduce yourself to the listing agent. Once you get that received contract, you're going to let them know what your process is. You're going to give them your information and just be transparent with them. And then when you're working with a solid company that's closing that loan in 2 weeks, you're going to go back and you're going to say, hey, when can we set up a coffee so I can show you how I can do this, along with whatever marketing materials you have for open house flyers and finance scenarios and loan products and programs. You can't bombard them with, I do all of these things, right? It's kind of like, I would say, take a cheat sheet in when you're doing your rounds. Here's a cheat sheet of the 10 things I do, right? And then each week you could give a pamphlet on, hey, this is one of those 10. And you just kind of spotlight those ones, because too much information. I mean, I think the attention span is like 8.2 seconds for a human.
Well, it's limited,
right?
yeah.
I think that was the study. It was 8.2 seconds, which to put in perspective, a goldfish is 9. So we are below a goldfish.
We are below a goldfish.
Thanks to social media.
Yeah. So, but the one thing that you can say though is that you can't discount the fact that there's still an emotional relationship that happens between two individuals.
It's all relation. It should
and,
be
and we hear that all the
right.
time. But now what we talk about is part of the job. What I think the originator needs to do these days is kind of shift the mindset. So if you have people that are somewhat in a bit of a depressed mindset. Now I don't mean depressed like depression, like clinically depressed. I definitely think that we need to. We talk about canvassing and grassroots effort, getting out and making connections with people is very important. Because what I will share with you guys, and in 2008, when the market started to deteriorate, things started to collapse, you go into 8, 9, 10, a lot of loan originators just stopped going out. And the world didn't end because population still grows. One of the key 5 fundamental needs of someone is shelter.
For sure.
So, we were still seeing transactions happening. And what's interesting is I recall in 2012, visiting accounts and agents saying, it's really interesting, but we have not seen a loan originator talk about mortgage products in multiple years. And we're starting to see a little bit of that now happening with kind of the shift in 2022.
They didn't see that for the last 2 to 3 years, right? When we couldn't even wake up and get a loan pre-qualified for 2 more applications coming in for refinance.
Yeah, so, but now you get to 2022, and when the market started to kind of deteriorate a little bit, we saw a little bit of a lull in that market. In fact, 40% of licensed loan originators have not renewed their licenses
already.
To a large degree.
Wow,
so you got to figure, now a lot of that could be people that are outside of the state of Florida, that are licensed in Florida. Maybe they're just not targeting the market anymore, which really means that now more than ever, originators have to make more of an exerted effort to make a grassroots approach to really make that emotional connection.
100%. I want to segue on that really quick just to give a shameless plug for FAMP, because one of the things that people don't understand is the benefits that an organization has, right? So we had almost 60,000 loan originators they were on track for if the market had continued. I think that was
closer to 70.
Was it?
Closer to 70 in the state of Florida.
Right. And then you have, but really at a grassroots level, we have organizations like FAMP who are working with lobbyists and legislation to help with the tax issue and make sure that buyers are fully aware of what these taxes are. We talked about that previously, right? Insurance and insurance reform so people can insure their homes. I mean, absolutely. I've got a couple people who I did loans for who have loans that currently on their home, and they're struggling to find actual insurance coverage for their home.
Well, sure.
Which is
that's
crazy,
going to continue
right?
to be, that is
and
crazy.
then you go, lender force place, which is like 4 times what the policy was before. So it's like, the thing is, FAMP, and these organizations in other states, I think CAMP in California, right? They do a great job of just bringing the loan officers together and working to really lobby and advocate for us, and importantly for the buyers, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do is
you have
a stable housing environment.
Well, to your point, I mean, part of part of being engaged in a grassroots effort, as we talk about marketing, is you've got to have engagement, right? So what Florida
absolutely.
Association of Mortgage Professionals does, it gives you some of the tools and resources for engagement. Now, you're very good about being out there and being visible. You do a lot of pitch sessions. You're very, and when you're out in these sessions, what is the mindset of the agent when you're in those sessions?
So it went from, I would say, don't talk to me, right? Because there's 100 of you to one of me, right? To, hey, so I haven't seen Joe here in a couple weeks. I'd love to just go have a chat. Or maybe they're just approachable at that point to just have a conversation at that point, right?
Yeah, so you're finding more openness. It's more of a welcoming environment.
Yeah, they're absolutely at least willing to shake your hand, say hello. Oh, it's good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. We're actually doing a new pitch session tomorrow.
Yeah.
In Clearwater, it's a mobile pitch session.
Oh,
so it's
like mobile is in
homes.
No.
Yes, I was thinking that was going to clarify that. We're talking about manufactured homes.
Soon.
Are we talking about manufactured housing, or are we talking about mobile?
So it's at a listing, right? That's maybe had some struggles on getting some people out there. It's literally it's myself and another. It's a home inspector, and there's only the two of us.
Yeah.
And she will rotate me out and rotate probably Brad in next week, and it'll be at a different listing to where it's only for agents. So that way you're getting some foot traffic.
Okay, that's
So
clever.
you're doing that at listings, actually?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's something apparently that has been done before, but it's been done like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was done a very long.
So-
I mean, years ago, you had caravans. You had people that got into a
I would say
vehicle.
I've
well,
seen
the
that.
Seminole pitch did that right before COVID.
sure.
They would get
Yeah.
a bus,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And we had
Yeah.
another title sponsor who would sponsor the bus.
Absolutely.
And they
Yeah.
would, everybody would load up, and each listing would have like cornhole, and they would have different.
Or they'd be themed out. You'd have, if you had, if you had a theme where one listing would have an appetizer, another one would have like an entree, then a dessert. So you kind of, as you're going out, you had the opportunity to kind of be themed out. There were a lot of wonderful ideas, but you talk about technology and social media to a large degree. Those wonderful things that deepen relationship, right? Because this is really a marathon. I mean, it really is.
And relationships are long term, right?
Sure.
I mean, I didn't get married and then never talk to her again. So
That's
every
right.
day,
Yeah.
every day it's building on. And I think we miss that with our clients.
Yeah.
So it's important. You mentioned technology. It's important to have technology that can help follow up and drip your clients, remind you when there's birthdays and different things that you need to do to really structure your business to be successful. Because there's so many key touch points that are missed, and they're missed because we are so busy and it's hard to remember all of it. So having good technology that can help encompass all of that in one place for you is key.
Having a good CRM is key. But go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, well, going back to pitch sessions, like, Ryan, I go to a lot with Ryan too. And, back in the day, a couple years ago, there was only like maybe one or two realtors. Sometimes there'd be none to go up there and pitch listings. Now the pitch sessions are getting packed. I think the last one the Pinellas Realtor Organization did, they had 90 people in the room.
So in these pitch sessions, just everyone's getting up for 1 minute, talking about their listing? Is that what they're doing?
Pretty much. I mean, sometimes they get a minute, sometimes they get a little longer. But you're seeing that more of that. And actually, what I did this weekend, I didn't mention earlier, is that I actually hit a bunch of open houses, right? And you're starting to see more open houses, and more people are going to open houses.
Are more people? Is there more traffic in open houses?
I was at an open house on Sunday, and he had over 20 people.
How about that?
Come into his open house. So,
We are starting to hear more now, a little bit more about, sellers are starting to adjust a little bit. Some of the strategies that agents are taking is, let me not go for the stars in terms of this price. Let me find a price point where I can get back into bidding wars, a little more traffic. So that's going to create and surge more momentum because, again, it's an emotional transaction.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's one thing too. The attitude with the buyer has definitely shifted a little bit, right? Because it used to be qualify me for as much as you possibly can, right? Which we talked about the credit card debt and just how we have accumulated more debt as a society. And I feel like everybody's kind of like pumped the brakes on that, and they're getting more realistic with what they can afford, and if the interest rate is where they want it to be. So it seems like buyers are getting a little more responsible, which I can tell you.
Are they adapting? Are they adapting? Are they adapting to the new gray? Is the new gray to realize I could be at about 6% of an interest rate, and my payment's going to be higher? So would you say that buyers are adapting to the fact that
payment-wise for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. They're understanding that their payment, your interest rate's not going to be 2.5%.
Right.
Like it's not even going to be 3% at this
What
point.
about a collapsing housing market? Are people still talking about that?
It's still out there, but I don't think it'll ever go away.
Yeah, that thought process.
I think that thought process is always going to be there.
Yeah, and that's probably our next episode. We're going to be talking about some of the data analytics surrounding, is there really truth to the fact that we are in a collapsing housing market? We want to focus a lot on what's happening in Florida, because Florida, nationally, we've seen a deceleration in property values, but Florida is still managing to remain and hold its line.
Yeah. I think there's, we were talking about that grassroots and FAMP, and I plugged that a little bit, which obviously we can do.
Well, that's what we have to do.
But, you know,
FAMP Jam Session.
Grassroots, right? Miami, their trade show was amazing. We were there last week, and the attendance was
Traffic
huge
was extraordinary.
For a local show. I mean, there were more than 500 attendees.
Easily.
Just not vendors, right? Just the attendees. I estimated it closer to 600 to 750 people.
Wow.
Just
How about that?
with what I was seeing. I don't know what the final numbers were on that. Orlando, February 8th, they have a tabletop show. They're estimating about 500 people to walk through there. And
that's terrific.
April, we have the trade show for Broward, April 25th and 26th.
So let's clarify that for our listeners. We're talking about the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals FAMP has a variety of different chapters, and we attended Miami's chapter, which is a great event. Yep. Orlando or Central
chapter,
which is coming up February 8th. A lot of exhibitors there. So loan originators, you got to listen. You got to get in the mojo. You got to find your mojo, and you got to, like, these gentlemen are out. They're canvassing. We're all pounding the pavement. We're now getting some great tips about the fact that open houses are starting to get a little more fuller. Yeah. Pit sessions are getting more fuller. Grassroots, you got to be visible.
Well, and you don't have to be a loan originator to go to this show. Right?
You don't? No.
And FAMP, I was playing around with the website a little bit today, looking at some of the membership stuff, and we have we've got our professional members, which are anybody who's licensed,
correct,
as an originator.
That's right.
We have your affiliate members.
Your professional. Don't you get that for free if you're a new member? If you're a new originator?
If you are a new loan originator,
you're a new loan originator, you get 1 year as an associate
so you get
associate member. So you don't get voting rights because. You know, if you're not paying for it, why should you vote? I don't want you to you're going to cancel me out, and I paid to be here. So you get that 12-month right if you're new. And they reach out. They do a good job. They get a list. They go out and let those new people know, hey, this is available. We've got the affiliate members for title, right? And other people in the business.
Yeah.
And then we have the associate membership, which was like $99, and those are for just people who want to support the organization. So, but what I was saying was, at these trade shows, man, I get realtors walking through because they're educating themselves. They're trying to find out. Sometimes they go with a lender. Lenders will invite them to come with, right? They'll pay the $10 at the door or whatever it is for them to go in. The realtor will.
No, are they attending breakout sessions, or what are they doing?
Well, like in the Miami show, I don't believe they had breakout sessions. I believe it was just a floor show.
Oh, they had some speakers. There were some speakers. Yeah.
I was a vendor, so I got there late and I set up late.
They had some speakers, which is great, and Central has a variety of wonderful speakers that are lined up, and I know Broward will too. So these trade shows aren't just seeing lenders, loan originators. There's also valuable breakout sessions where you have great content. There's some boot camp educational classes,
class that's
absolutely, you don't want to miss the trade shows
for new originators. Man.
Yeah,
get into boot camp class, let it teach you, because you get your license, then you have no idea what you do when you hit the pavement, right?
That's
Which
exactly
is like every degree you get in college, right? You get that degree and then you get out there and you're like, I have no idea.
I'm still using fine arts and Shakespeare, so I'll do a soliloquy for you one day. So we'll wrap up with these. I'm trying to. I'll let him spell it. So let's wrap up with this. So everybody give a nugget. So since we're going to wrap up now, grassroots effort. All right. So your number one tip for grassroots effort.
I would say make sure you're on all social media platforms and make sure that you don't just follow up on social media. You still get them in person, maybe invite them to a networking event.
Well, that's two. Okay.
I guess that's two.
Damn,
bro.
Two. You took mine.
But I was saying, get on social media, but then make sure you're still showing up in person.
Okay. Sure. So we'll focus on social media for yours. What would you say?
I would say structure your day the best you can to be at as many places as you can.
Okay, that's pretty good. Time management, be as visible as you can, face to face.
Nathaniel?
I'm going to go 4 times 4 times 4. What that means is you go to 4 times 4 times 4. You go to 4 open houses, 4 weekends in a month for 4 months.
Yeah, open houses are great. We did that this weekend.
4 times 4 times 4.
Yeah. Pounding the pavement.
Can you
pound the pavements?
Pound the pavements? What does that mean, pound the pavements?
Get out, meet people. knock on doors and create a routine for yourself. So that way you're becoming a familiar face. Because one day you will show up at their office when somebody has dropped the ball or there's a deal that's going awry and you can save the day. And that will be your foot in and they will switch.
So there you have it. That's today's episode. Grassroots effort, little nugget for you that make sure you're attending our trade show. We're excited to see you in the next feature of FAMP Jam Session. So from now until then, we're going to challenge you to do all of those 4 things. So be visible, be present, and be on social media.
Do it.